Hi everyone, I'm Beatrice, a PhD student at the Center for HCI Design at City University of London, and today I'm excited to present my paper titled Interdependence in Action, People with Visual Impairments and their Guides Co-constituting Common Spaces. This work is a collaboration with my supervisors Alex Taylor and Simone Stumpf. Sighted guiding is a daily practice amongst the visually impaired community when traveling with family, friends and travel assistants. It provides an enjoyable way to explore familiar and unfamiliar environments and for building and intensifying relationships. Sighted guiding is a standardized technique. For setting up this configuration, in the video a man grabs and holds the arm of a sighted person. With the guide a step ahead, the pair is working together. In contrast to prior work, which treats blind navigation as an individual activity in need of solution, our research in sighted guiding is inspired by the Interdependence framework proposed by Bennett and colleagues in Assets 2018. Authors emphasizes the collective work done by people with disabilities and others to achieve access and independence. In this framework, assistive technology is seen as a further way to extend the relations between one another, focusing on how actors are made more or less able through other actors and with technology. When designing AI-assisted technology for navigational aids, current work has neglected this kind of collaboration, such as, for instance, the collective work in sighted guiding. But how in practice is this collaboration achieved in action? And instead of introducing an AI technology aiming to replace the guide, how might people's collective capacities for working together be enhanced? To address our research questions, we conducted an empirical qualitative study. We recruited 4 pairs of participants composed of a person with visual impairment and their guide with an established relationship through guiding of at least 3 months. Over a period of 3 days, we invited pairs to video record their real-world journeys using the sighted guiding configuration and wearing body cameras. The picture shows a participant wearing a camera at chest high using an harness. Across 4 participants' pairs, we collected 6 journeys, a total of 4 hours of video data. Data was analyzed with interaction analysis, which is a qualitative research method adapted in HCI and CSCW research. Drawing from a conversation analysis and ethnomethodology, it offers a means of analyzing the details of how guiding and being guided were accomplished. Analysis was conducted identifying examples of coordinated interaction, for instance, how participants worked together to move through obstacles. A total of 40 segments out of about 20 seconds were carefully rewatched to produce detailed transcripts of spoken and non-verbal communication. The paper reports in detail 6 segments out of 40, which best illustrate the findings. Here, due to time constraint, I will present an overview of our findings and 2 segments as an example. Findings reveal, firstly, how multimodal resources such as talks, body movements, gestures and objects are used in concert to constitute a common space between people with vision impairments and their guides. Second, how this work together is intertwined into the ordinary and unfolding sequence of interactions, which is a form of interdependence. And third, how the unfolding relations through space are subject to rupture and repair. An example of what we see in constituting common space is represented in the following clip. George and his guide Sarah are walking at a regular pace, almost side by side, with George holding Sarah's arm. They are getting to a narrow gap to their right. Although the narrow gap represents an obstacle, what actually happens is very subtle.
Because right, go skinny.
Sarah moves the arm to her back, George goes behind her. The pair slows down.
She was talking.
By slowing down their talking and talk and through body movements, the pair can constitute a space to move through together. Indeed, there is no need for crude instructions. In the next clip, we will see instead an example of rupture and repair to common space. We still have George and Sarah, who are holding a pair of socks at the checkout. They are not in physical contact, but the pair of socks represent a means to attend a space in common.
Yeah, probably they'll be alright.
These are quite nice.
There's only one white one, but...
Suddenly, Sarah leaves George, announcing that with a low voice tone, and goes away.
Let's put this back.
Yeah, they're alright. Do you think wearing...
This marks a shift to a more personal space of action for Sarah. This transition might not be equally perceived by George, who maintains the same conversation tone and doesn't change orientation. To repair, Sarah raises the voice pitch and moves close to George, reestablishing a common space of interaction.
You can get two for £6 if you want.
Huh?
You can get two for £6.
Do I need to?
Through our findings, we identify 3 areas to consider when designing AI-enabled assistive technology aiming to complement and possibly extend individual and collective capacities. Firstly, we suggest that an AI's goal might be to support these partnerships rather than assume they can be replaced with technology. This reduces emphasis on the problem of recognizing the environmental details, focusing instead on how AI might relate to multiple resources without disrupting the temporal concurrence and sequence in action. Secondly, our work shows that sighted guiding is an example of interdependence, and so AI may offer greater interdependencies. The constituted space enacted between a pair affords a new set of interaction. AI interventions would aim to serve as a further resource for opening up possibilities and affording the space for new interactions from both parties. Finally, we suggest that ruptures and repairs moments might represent a case of AI interventions. In these moments, the shift from a co-constituted space to an individually managed space might not equally perceived. AI could play the role of an additional resource to make this space transition mutually meaningful and relevant. Thank you for listening. For further details, please read our full paper. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me by email at beatrice.vincenzi@city.ac.uk.